So, are you videotaping? We're gonna do our urinalysis test. So, I have our dog Derby here. Actually, Jess is gonna hold on to her and try to hold the camera at the same time. She'll be fun. And I've got my catch tray and gloves so that my hands don't get peed on. So we're just gonna try to get this urine sample from her as quickly as possible. She's a little jumpy. It's really hot out. All right. Go pee. Come on, over here. Go pee. Go pee. Derby, go pee. That's not a pee. Come on. No, go pee. Stop. Come on. Go pee. Come on, go pee. Come on, Derby. I know you're putting things up on you.
You want to try? Too much commotion.
Yay! All right, so we've got our sample, which we're going to take back into the lab and then we'll run it. Thanks. Okay, so we have our specimen for Derby right here. Looks good. So what I'm going to do is I've got all my stuff prepped here. I've got my centrifuge tube. I've got my refractometer. I've got, we use just a little paper stickies. We used to have paper files for records for the pets, but we went digital, so we actually use these stickies to fill out our forms, and then we'll go back at the end of the day and scan these into the computer. My glasses are fogging here. So this is what we use as our patient record for the day, and then at the end of the day we put it in. So, clean pipette, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on the chemistry, and usually I take our little urinalysis sticks and I'll use those first. But I'm going to take a look at the urine. So it's this fairly dark amber color, a little bit of turbidity to it. It's not too bad though. It's fairly clear to see through. So I'm going to write appearance is clear. It's a slight cloud. And then I'm going to write dark amber coloration. And it does have an odor to it, so I'm just going to mark that there's a slight odor. But she hasn't been out for a while. She's been in her kennel for the entire morning, so I know that that's probably why it's just really concentrated. So, I'm going to take my chemistry, and I take my dipstick, and I dip the whole thing in, all in one. Kind of tap off the excess onto a paper towel. And then I will take my pipette and I'll grab my sample and put it in my centrifuge tube. And set that aside. And then I'll take 1 drop for my refractometer to get our specific gravity. And I'm just going to hold this up to the light to measure specific gravity. This is 1.040. Okay, and then I'm just going to flip this over and wipe it off. Put that away. And then I'm going to read my dipstick. So starting at the top, we start looking at leukocytes, which are negative, nitrates, which are negative. Urobilinogen is in micromoles per liter, that's negative. Protein is in grams per liter, and that is negative. Stuff is here as well, just going around. Negative, negative. And our pH is 7.5. There is no blood, which is measured in erythrocytes per microliter. That's clear. And then ketones is negative. Bilirubin is negative, and glucose is negative. Alright. So my next step is I'm just gonna take this and get a balance for it and put it into our centrifuge for about 10 minutes on, I think it's approximately 1500 RPM. So I'm gonna get that started and I'll be right back once it's done spinning. So our sample is finished spinning. You can kind of see here there's just a little bit of clouding on the bottom. That's all the particles and everything that's precipitated out. So what I'm going to do now is just decant the supernatant. So I'm just going to pour it right into our sink. Gently, it did not disturb the sediment. Okay. And then I'm just going to take the rest of our sample back over to the lab to stain it and dye it and look at it. Okay, so what I have here is a pipette to mix our sample. I have some new methylene blue stain here. So I'm just going to take our specimen and a little bit of the stain. I'm just going to put 1 drop of the stain into our sample. I'm just going to mix this a little bit. And then I've got my slide here and I'm just going to put 1 drop of our sample on. Slip. Stick together. And put my cover slip right on my slide. So right like this. And it's a nice even pocket there. I'm going to start on 4. I'm going to switch to 10. Switch to 40. Frank, it's Carrie over at Hollis Veterinary Hospital. How you doing? Good. Calling to see how Daisy's cast is holding up. Okay. Well, sometimes they do, but as long as everything is going well and the cast is still in position, you should be all set. Okay, if anything changes, yeah, okay. Okay. Yes, if you do vaccines,
Another
yes.
bottle of Crowin now. Do I need to change the label or just
So,
still put it
let me,
Okay.
yeah, as it was, checkup and vaccines need to have records transferred. No, it says a note here to own to have records transferred here. Yeah, you'd have to call over to Amherst and have them just fax them, they know our fax number, have them fax or email them over to us so we can put them into the computer. Okay, and when did you wanna reschedule that to? Okay, did you want after the 8th, or I have, let's see, you need a Tuesday? Can you do Tuesday in the afternoon or no? I have Tuesday the 11th at 3:30. Okay, let me put you in for then. All set. Oh. Okay, so I kind of wanted to get out of the lab area to go over our findings from Derby's urinalysis, just because it was getting really busy upstairs. So I didn't see really anything on the microscopic view. No crystals, no white blood cells, no red blood cells. I saw one hyaline cast, but that was about it. I think I saw one epithelial cell, so that is both great. No evidence of a urinary tract infection or any other issues. If I had seen a lot more casts or any crystals or any other types of cells other than one epithelial, then I would be more concerned. But a lot of the times that's just coming down from the urinary tract and everything, so that's not a big deal. But I do have my book. This is my pretty much go-to for urinalyses and hematologies. Oh, and I did show you, before I go through the book, I do want to show you, I did write down that everything here. So bacteria, none. White blood cells, none. Casts are within normal limits. Oh, I forgot to write down red blood cells, none. Crystals, none. Alright, so all of that's right there. I'm going to put this into our scanner tonight when we do all of our scanning and data entry, so that should be there to go into it. So I'll just set that aside as part of her record for now until tonight. But in my nice little reference book here, I really like this book actually, it breaks down everything really nicely. So if I were looking for white blood cells, great view of the white blood cells in the urine. Also red blood cells are on the other side. Fat droplets, there were quite a few fat droplets actually in Derby's specimen. Not all that surprising. So those in bubble, there are some bigger bubbles, but that's fairly normal. There are different types of epithelial, so squamous epithelium, which you can get. Transitional epithelials, this is not epithelials, I just saw regular squamous epithelial cells. Tubular epithelial cells here. So it breaks them down really nicely, so description wise, that way you know kind of the difference of them. So that sometimes you could just get squamous epithelials from the lining of the urinary tract, the urethra. Transitional epithelial cells, we do like to monitor because they can be from the bladder. And sometimes if you're getting a lot of them, they can be a sign of a type of bladder cancer. So we monitor a lot of dogs or a lot of cats that come in and are really showing transitional epithelial cells because it's not normal to be shedding a lot of them consistently. The same with the renal tubular epithelial cells. We do not really want to start seeing a lot of those very often. This also breaks down the cast types. So hyaline cast is the one that I saw for Derby. So one in a slide is not a big deal. If you're seeing a lot of them, that can be a sign of other issues going on. There's the granular casts, waxy casts, fatty casts. So those are all in here as well. Crystals. Some crystals are found in certain situations in certain dogs. So we do like to make sure that we're keeping an eye on what dogs are producing what crystals over time. Some like certain amorphous crystals, which is first, is often found in acidic urine. Don't want to see too many of those. Could be a sign of other issues going on. There are calcium oxalate crystals. And there's this nice, I forgot that this was in here, but this is a nice breakdown. All the different types of crystals, so it's all right there. Let's see, phosphates, amorphous urates, calcium oxalates, calcium carbonates, what urine pH is required for them, what they're dissolved by. So this is always a great little thing to open up to and be able to tell. And like I said, sometimes you'll just see dogs that produce certain types of crystals more than others. Oftentimes like struvites, some dogs are just more prone to them and you might just see them on a regular basis. So always keep an eye, and it's always good to keep checking urine samples on these dogs just to make sure that they're not increasing in numbers, or if they're having any issues, then we might need to get urinary x-rays to check and see if there are bladder or kidney stones forming, because if there's large numbers of these and the dog's having problems like bloody urine, difficulty peeing, then they could risk blockages and other issues. Sometimes with certain crystals, they're also more prone to getting urinary tract infections, And sometimes they get more stones because of the urinary tract infection, because the bacterium changes the pH, which makes them more likely to precipitate out these crystals. And this also shows other, different things in here. So there are fungal hyphae that you might see in a urine sample. There are mucus threads, which you can see. It's right here. So sperm, obviously in a male, unneutered dog. Sperm is obviously something that you might be getting. Bacteria in a bacteria infection right there. So I just really like this book. It's a great resource that we use in the hospital. So that should be it. Thanks.